You know our next speaker. You may have met him at Dinosaur Polo Club. You may have seen him at PAX or NZGDC or a number of other wonderful places with Sender Deluxe. You may have seen him on this stage or many other stages or at Game Developers of Wellington. I've had the pleasure of introducing him many times. But maybe you don't know that he has also volunteers at the Newtown Tool Library, something I just learned by reading your note right here. A man of many talents and always willing to share them on stage in any venue, it's Tana Tanoi!
Thanks for the introduction, Rick. I'm Tana, and today I'm here to talk about my weird little game, Sender Deluxe, which is award nominated. Hell yeah, thanks Pavs. Really amazing to be amongst some of the coolest games in New Zealand, I have to say. But yeah, you might know me. I talk about mini Motorways a bunch. I don't do that anymore because I don't work at Dinosaur Polo Club, but thanks, shout out to the homies. Now I'm doing full-time on this at Dead Teapot, and I'm not alone. I have Poppy Durad doing art direction, Finn Mitchell-Anion's the audio person, so you can hear all of this stuff, which is pretty sick. And then Saf Davidson is doing narrative design and editing, and really, like, all of us are bringing the game and Sendy to life. But yeah, let's, instead of slides, I was thinking we could just play the game a little. Everyone meet Sendy. Everyone say hi, Sendy. Yeah, so there's like heaps of stuff I could talk about in this game. But specifically, the thing I wanted to talk about is creativity in puzzle games. And the different ways that we really encourage players to be creative in a genre that's not typically known for it. A lot of the time, puzzle games are known for the like aha moment when you like solve the puzzle and you figure out the trick or solution, or you optimized your solution by 1%, and that makes you feel a sense of accomplishment. And because of this, they don't often really leave room for creative expression. Like, there's just a solution that is some global maxima or some optimal way to play, and most players will just have some variant of that global maxima. And in Sender Deluxe, we aim to do a bit more. So we want to have that feeling of accomplishment, but also have the creative freedom to find your own path to that. So let's move on to the next slide. And what I'm thinking is, yeah, we learn how to play Sender Deluxe. That's probably important context for the talk. You just send the shapes down there. Deluxe. So this is what a level looks like. You've got all of your different tools, and you've got to get these shapes to the right spot. So in this case, we're going to need a portal, so we can put one of these in, and that can teleport them across. It's not getting us... Oh shit. Okay. I had more to put in, but first try, baby. So, yeah, that's how Sender Deluxe works. Just stole my line. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is how do you make it, well, what are the different pillars for making a game feel creative? And the first one is making it safe to experiment in. And how do you do that? It's like a lot of very small decisions. One of them is that there's no lost state. You can't lose a game of Sender Deluxe. And it means more than just not losing. You can't like soft lock or enter an unwinnable state, which soccer bonds are known for. Like, you don't need to ever undo something or restart something, because it's all just like an ever-evolving sandbox. The only state is that you haven't won yet. Secondly, there's only one phase. So in a typical puzzle game, there's like a planning phase and an execution phase. But what we've done here is just merge them into one phase. So when I have a theory, I can execute it, and I can see the result of that instantly. Thirdly, we don't really constrain the player with regards to the tools themselves. We can solve this puzzle with as many magnets as our heart desires. There's lots of different ways you can solve it, but what if we did just solve it exclusively with magnets? It's a completely valid way to play. I've seen some people solve levels where they'll just make a really long bridge like Tears of the Kingdom. And I've seen other people just use the maximum possible number of springs that they could fit into a level. And you know, if you send the shape, it still counts. So yeah, let's just have a go at solving this. So we got 2 magnets, so let's just continue down the magnet train. Oh, we can see the results of what we're doing instantly. And so we can just iterate. We can just play. Oh, sorry. That's my co-host. Wait, we can do this, I don't want to use any other things. It would be way easier to use a portal. Oh, shit. I should have practiced this level. Oh my god. You know what? Fuck the magnets. Let's put a portal in. Yeah, this is way easier. Super overpowered. Boom. It's puzzles, baby. But yeah, like having these open-ended solutions just lets you feel like you have an ownership over your attempts at solving things. So if you're thinking like Tears of the Kingdom or Dishonored, players can feel like they came up with their own solution to a problem, rather than just doing the solution that the designer intended. And the players are wrong. The designer definitely intended all of those different solutions, but as long as they don't feel like the designer intended it, then that's all that really matters. And we really lean into this by having GIF recording. So like players can save their solutions as GIFs, and allows them to share their like crazy or elegant or stupid, but you know, it technically works kind of solutions with other people. And I remember watching a streamer one time play the demo, played the first level, realized there was a GIF recording, and immediately on the next level just made the most insane thing they could. And I think that's really fun. Okay, wait, what's Cindy saying? Oh, he's just sassing us. Ignore him. Don't listen. He tells nothing but lies. Yeah, so... Wait, these in order. That's fine. We're working it out. So... Wait, my notes are all fucked. Honestly, I wish he would just take over. It would be pre-recorded, it would be great. But yeah, open-ended solutions. So one of the cool things about the open-ended solutions here is that we can just kind of try things out. So what I'm thinking here is we will just go take these portals and go up through this little part in the middle. We'll see if this works. Okay, it's like not quite working. Let's try something else. You'd think I'd be good at my own game. So we'll put a fan here, blow that through there. We'll hopefully have enough momentum to put it through another portal, and then just shoot out the other side. Is that working? No, it's not working. Let's try and pull that up with a magnet. Hey, we got it! Let's go! Alright. Puzzle games, am I right? Wow. They made this just for me. Yeah, so let's talk about creativity and constraints. It's common knowledge that constraints actually help creativity. Like, when you've got this infinite variety of things you can do, having that cut down to just a couple of things often actually gives you less decision paralysis about what you could be doing. And what's weird about that is it feels like the antithesis of everything I just said about having open-ended solutions. So how do we have both? My solution is to just kind of play both sides. So I give you those infinite solutions where you can do anything you want, but I also have this mechanic that comes later in the game where I let you try things and then I just delete your solution, you have to do it again. So we can't do that thing where we took portals through the middle now, and now we have to try a different technique. So we can put a fan here, go up the side, whoops, sorry about it. And then this is actually way easier coming over the top like this. And what's funny is that when I watched people do this mechanic, players would actually like get better every time they solved it. So their first one might be like, you know, a bit of a mess, but every time they solve it, they actually get better at solving the puzzles, which, makes sense. That's what practicing is. But what it also does is, it removes their instinctive way that they would solve the puzzle and instead encourage them to do something else, try different techniques, try different tools. And because they're open-ended, they have those options. In other puzzle games, if you removed their solution, that might be the only solution you could have done. This was actually inspired by Scribblenauts, where they have this mechanic where you have to solve a level without using the same words 3 times in a row, and I loved that as a kid. I played that a lot. But yeah, let's move on. So other puzzle games also do this thing for having constraints by having these challenges. So it might be, try and solve this level with less than 5 moves or whatever. And I think these are really cool, actually. But I decided to take a different approach to this. I wanted players to have a more intrinsic motivation for doing so. And so that's where Sendy comes in. And in this level, Sendy says it's impossible to solve without magnets. And when I first put this in, I thought it was impossible to solve without magnets. And so I put it in front of a playtester, and they immediately solved it without magnets. And Sendy was just like, wow, you use those magnets so good. That's so cool. And I was like, you know what? Let's not change the level, and instead we'll just change the dialogue. So what I learned from that interaction is that actually a powerful motivator for intrinsic constraints, and therefore for creativity, is spite. Sendy basically exists in the game to be a vessel for the player's spite. But what I also learned is that there's actually lots of different ways you can reward a player for doing their own intrinsic challenges. So if they, decide to solve a puzzle only using fans, then just acknowledge it. You don't have to have a big song and dance, but just be like, wow, that's a lot of fans you got there. So yeah, we can kind of showcase that here as well. So our goal here is to prove Sendy wrong and not use a single magnet. And because we are experts at physics, we can redirect momentum upwards. Boom. I practiced this one. But yeah, if you're going to yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Just feeling recognized for being creative and doing your own direction of creativity is just as rewarding as having a little star pop up and saying, you got this achievement. I mean, I'm going to have achievements too, because you know how Steam players are. Yeah, if you're going to a lot of effort to want to make players be creative, then make them feel acknowledged for doing so. Yeah, I put one in the full game where Sendy says, you have to use magnets, and it's the first time you ever have a fan. So that one's for the real ones. But yeah, that kind of is all the things I wanted to talk about. But as a quick recap, creativity comes from a lot of different places. It comes from having open-ended solutions. It comes from having quick iteration times where you can just try things out really quickly. It comes from having a way you can try things out quickly, but also in a risk-free environment where you're not afraid to just try. It also comes from having interesting constraints, where you have different ways that the game is testing you and forcing you to try different things. It also comes from having a sense of ownership of your solutions. So if you feel that you can take your solution and that's your personal solution, it makes you want to try and have more of your own unique solutions. And things like gift sharing are amazing for that. And yeah, proving Sendy wrong is a great way to encourage creativity. But I just think that creativity is this really a beautiful thing that we can put into our games in unexpected ways. And so to finish this, and then we get the rest of the dialogue. Yeah, I hope this helps you find ways to make, oh my god. Sassy Sendy. I hope this makes you find ways to put creativity and encourage creativity in your own games. Yeah, thanks for having me. Oh my god.
How do you keep both casual puzzle fans entertained and hardcore puzzle fans challenged?
So part of the intrinsic motivation to solve things, one of the other benefits that I didn't actually talk about, so thank you for asking, is that they're entirely optional. If you're not a particularly spiteful person, then maybe you'll just skip over a bunch of these challenges. But if you're the kind of player who's like, having an absolute breeze through this, and you come across this thing where it's like, it's impossible to do this, and you're looking at it and you're like, I can solve it right now, then that lets you have that additional challenge without having players who are just kind of struggling to puzzle, stopping them from just using whatever tools they have available to them. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Tana.